Hi everyone, I'm Eshna Gogia, Program Manager at Republic of Work and the Regional Lead for NDRC. We're excited to introduce two of the three founders of We Are Riley, Lauren and Anya. Congratulations on closing the pre-seed round. Well done.
Thank you.
Now, before we dive into the session, tell us a bit about yourselves and why We Are Riley.
Yeah, great question. So Riley began last April, so we just turned 1 year old. And the idea for Riley really was extremely organic. We were just hanging out in Anya's house one night, Anya, myself, and Fiona, and one of us got our periods. And we searched high and low, and we couldn't find a tampon or pad in sight. And it got us thinking, how are we never prepared for this? We know it's coming. We know it's coming every month, and we are just, you'd think we'd be more organized. So that really, I suppose, led us down the concept that a subscription model would be really convenient. But then once we actually started doing market research and looking into this in more detail, we were just totally shocked what we kind of found, that the amount of toxins and chemicals that were in the products that, we were used to buying. And then secondary to that, the amount of plastic. So there can be up to 90% plastic content in a sanitary pad that you buy on the stores today. And that was just so shocking to us that was really the moment, I think, that we knew that we wanted to kind of, I suppose, go ahead and really invest and create this business.
And how does the name What We Are Riley come about? How did it come about?
That's actually a great question. So we wanted something that wasn't overly masculine or feminine, and we really liked it. And then when we looked it up, it means a carefree and luxurious existence, which is something that we want to give our customers, the life of Riley. And it plays on exactly what our mission is, and also to make women's lives easier and provide products that are better for the body and better for the planet as well.
So that time of the month, Auntie Flo, there are about 5,000 terms that we use for being on period. And over the years, I think we've adopted to the fact that we're not going to use the word period, but everything around it. And unfortunately, a lot of girls globally find it very difficult to talk about period or even get access to sanitary products. But there's a lot around the menstruation, health, hygiene and stuff. We won't be getting into the social aspect of it in this session. But how did the idea come to life? What was it that just pushed you out in the market that now is the time?
Yeah, that's another great question. I think that once we thought of the idea, we acted very quickly. It was something that we were all extremely passionate about. And that was in the December that we had come up with the idea, and we were all very excited. We each had full-time jobs that we were working on, and we worked on this in the evenings and not the weekends as well. And then we actually launched to market 4 months later at the end of April. But it was really important to us. I think the minute that we came across the idea and realized about the convenience aspect and then saw the amount of chemicals that were in the products we'd been using, we actually just had to. There was no way we couldn't do this. And I think it was in all of us as well. So it was incredibly important to us. We didn't find any other company in Ireland that were doing it at the time. And we just knew we had to do it.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that as well, we kept going back and forth. If you wait around for something that's perfect, you might never launch. So I think our kind of mentality was to launch as quickly as possible and then just listen to our customers and kind of iterate and get better all the time from there. Because I think if you wait for the perfect moment.
Yeah. Speaking about customers, I think for early stage startups, it's really important to validate your customer, validate the market. I think we keep repeating ourselves around that. And as entrepreneurs, we really feel the product or the solution that we are building is going to solve the problem. And when we hit the road, the reality kicks in. How has your customer discovery journey been, and what were, your key insights on that? What were the barriers you had to overcome? Did it help knowing that your market was going to be women or girls aged between 12 and 40, or was it like we really have to go out and still validate it?
Yeah, I think it's always important to validate the market. And even though our target market is large because of obviously the age bracket that we're looking at as well, But also we launched a market with an MVP, as Lauren mentioned a few minutes ago, and it wasn't perfect. But we saw that traction straight away. And then after that, we just kept talking to our customers and listening to what they wanted. And since then, we've changed a lot about the products. The core products remain the same, but how we offer it to our customers is very different. We had pre-made bundles when we first launched to market, but as we listened to customers, they wanted to customize it. Every woman's period is different. Some people wanted more products, some people wanted less. So we put a lot of work into changing how we offer the product to the market. And we've seen great feedback from that as well, giving the customer exactly what they want.
That's actually quite true. Like, we all look for customized product. What works for one person does not. And
exactly.
With the whole flow and everything, it might be like somebody might need, those overnight pads, like 10 of those and like 8 of the other ones. So definitely it does add a lot to it. And one of the other important aspects of developing your business is figuring out the business model that works for you. You guys headed directly into the D2C, which is direct to consumer market, or like direct to consumer domain. Did you face any challenges over there? Was it hard to crack and manage everything, the logistics, the supply chain, making sure that, our product is sourced in time, or the raw materials are sourced in time and it reaches the customer in time? And what was it like, when you first entered?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose we started building out our website like a couple of weeks before we ever went live. So we did a lot of, I suppose, advertising around kind of pre-launch and really built up that customer database in the early days, so that when we did, I suppose, hit launch on that, that day, we had kind of, I suppose, a consumer base to actually push out to, which really helped kind of, I suppose, gain traction in the first couple of days and kind of get that momentum up. So I'd highly recommend kind of always looking at that kind of pre-launch strategy, especially in that kind of D2C website start off.
Yeah. And the fact that, market timing is again very important. When you were launching your product, what were the observation you had about the market that now is the time to launch, no later than this?
Good question. I don't think we really had a very specific date in mind.
It's not so much more about, it's not so much about the date, but more so the market at the moment is ready for it. I think if we were to have done this 5 years ago, it wouldn't have worked in the same way. I think looking at the US, they're way ahead of us in terms of subscription services, and it's something that has been happening over there for a couple of years ahead of us. So I think we did a lot of research on that and saw what was happening in America as well, and realized that that was something that really would work here too. On the D2C side, it's the convenient aspect of someone going onto our website and being able to order this and it being delivered to their door, which obviously is the perfect route for us beginning. In terms of the operations and the logistics that you mentioned a few minutes ago, it definitely, it's a challenge. I think everyone finds it a challenge, especially when, this is a product that we can never run out of. When we first launched and we were first figuring this out, we actually ran out of stock very quickly. And that's because we didn't see the amount of support we were going to get and the amount of orders. We were blown away and we were absolutely delighted. But we did run out of packaging really quickly, and we had to find alternatives, and we had to move really quickly on that. In terms of the actual operations of supply chain, it's tough to navigate, especially in terms of what's happening in the world at the moment with freight. But we had spent a lot of time trying to find our manufacturer, and we had spent a lot of time sampling different products. We were very adamant that we wanted, 100% organic cotton. We wanted the best products that we could get. We use shipping, and we, as much as we can, by sea. We try not to ship anything by air, obviously because it's more expensive, but also because of the carbon emissions associated with that too. So it is all about forecasting and long-term planning, and I understand how difficult that can be as well. So we found our manufacturer 4 months before, and we had planned for the products to land the month before we launched our website. So it gave us enough time to prepare, and then we actually packed a lot of the stuff on the ground for the first
6 months.
Yeah, and I think...
Yeah, so we launched out of Ania's, I suppose, garage down in West Cork. So we had all the stock on the ground. We were manually packing each box and order that came in via our website. And it was brilliant at the beginning. Yeah, and then it very quickly gets
it gets too big. And I think that's really important. I think being on the ground, you can't grow too soon either. Like everyone has to start somewhere, you know. When there was 100,000 tampons arriving at my house, I was terrified, obviously. But, you know, that was really important for the journey. And we all got in together and we packed so many boxes and we did everything together and oversaw everything together at the beginning to make sure it was the highest quality that we were sending out for orders, and also to hear our customers' feedback right off the ground. Our manufacturer is based in Europe. They ethically source their organic cotton, and they have all the necessary health and safety certifications, including FDA approval in the United States. And that was all incredibly important to us. I actually got the opportunity to go over to the manufacturer to see the process and to see the quality control. I would definitely say it's something that's really important to do. It's something I only got to do a year in because of COVID, obviously. But to be able to go over there to meet the people that you're creating that strong relationship with, and also to see the quality control that goes in to every single item that they produce, it just is incredible. So I definitely think that's a really important part in the manufacturing partnership. The other thing that we did also was we now have 2 fulfillment. We're out of my garage, which is thank God. And we now have 2 fulfillment centers, and the other one is beside our manufacturer. And the reason for that is so that we can have, we save time and cost in moving the goods from our manufacturer to our fulfillment center. And that means as well that can service Europe, and then our other fulfillment center can service Ireland and the UK. So it's cutting costs and time as well. But that's something we definitely learned along the journey that we needed to. So
has you launched during the pandemic, one of the toughest times all of us have witnessed. Has that now changed in terms of your business strategy? Has much changed since you launched towards now that since the world is reopening? Has much changed on the operations side?
On the operations side, not so much. I think that we're forecasting as far ahead as we can. Obviously, with everything going on in the world, we just want to be, costs are increasing across the board. Freight is increasing across the board. So it is very much about planning for the future. And again, we can never run out of stock. We have our customers that we're obviously a subscription basis. Our customers expect their supply every 3 months. It's going against our company if we ever run out of stock. So it's just not an option for us. But it hasn't changed drastically. It's just about monitoring it all the time, and also constantly monitoring our costs and shopping around to see what is the best price for different things. Obviously, when you're a startup, you're paying for things for the first time. You're negotiating with people for the first time. You don't have a lot of leverage, but we're a year in now. We do have a little bit more leverage on things, and that's really important to always be questioning your costs and questioning what you're spending your money on, to make sure you're always getting the best cost and the lowest cost, and therefore higher margins as well for your product.
And coming back to what we were speaking about, the sustainability bit, in Europe and the States, 80% of the menstruation products go into the landfill. And each sanitary napkin, if I'm not wrong, consists of about 3.4 grams of plastic. And all of this goes back into the landfill. It takes about 500 years for the plastic to get degraded. And eventually what we get is leaching of toxic chemicals into the water and ground and water supply, as well as release of harmful toxic vapors into the air. Now, there's a lot around the materials you use, and you mentioned using organic cotton. How does it affect environmentally on cutting down the emissions using products or like materials like organic cotton? And what is the product life cycle of, sanitary napkins that you are producing versus what's available in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose, the key differentiator for us is when we first started doing market research, we realized that there was, obviously we wanted to create products that was the most sustainable they could possibly be. We did look at kind of options like moon cups and reusable underwear that are getting more and more popular. But what we found that within the kind of cohort of customers that we were looking at, there are women and people who've been having their periods for the 10, 15 years already. So they have products that they're very comfortable using and they're not willing to, I suppose, change to those reusable options. So the big thing for us was that we wanted to create products for women that looked and felt and acted the same as the products they're used to kind of using and buying in their store. But we wanted to make them obviously much better for the body and better for the planet. So with that, we use 100% organic cotton, meaning that it can break down within 12 months. So it's compostable. And we also have all of our wrapping that's been packaged or designed, I suppose, to also, it's made from wood pulp. So that can also be broken down and composted as well within 12 months. And we now have all of our pouches that are fully recyclable. And we're actually working on an iteration as well to also, in due course, make that compostable too. So overall, I suppose, the goal for us as a business is to make everything as sustainable as it can possibly be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think tracking and traceability have become important elements of any business. Over the years, consumers have gone from mindless consumption to mindful purchasing. They really go down to the ethics of the company. Mm-hmm. Is there a way your customers or your consumers can track the journey of the product? Or, I think you're also working with a charity. Is there a way they get to know that if, you're spending X amount of euros on this product and we're also kind of like funding a charity outside of Ireland? Could you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we launched Riley, we really, from the get-go, we wanted to be in business to do good, as well as obviously building a business. We really wanted from the get-go to kind of give back. So what we did was we donated €1 from every box sold on our website to a charity. It's an Irish registered charity based out in Kenya called Development Pamoja. And what we do is we fund, I suppose, sanitary products, which is key over there because there's, young girls who are missing school when they're on their period because it's seen as such a big stigma and taboo over there. So we're funding, I suppose, sanitary products, but more importantly, we're actually funding doctor-led school visits to educate young girls and boys on menstrual health. So ultimately to kind of try break down that taboo over time and kind of normalize periods, in that region. And then I suppose since we've grown Riley in the last 12 months, we're now in the fortunate position to do the same on the ground here in Ireland. Because I think people think of period poverty and they assume it's kind of in, third world countries, but it's not. It's here on the ground as well. So we're also working with Homeless Period Ireland to donate to direct provision centres here in Ireland to also do the same.
That's wonderful. And we've all seen that over the last couple of months, you've partnered with some of the big names in the corporate side as well. How did it feel when you had your first sales? And how did it feel when you closed down or unlocked your first corporate partner? And were there many challenges out there? Did you have to overcome a certain number of barriers, or was it more like it was driven with a purpose and people could see it?
Yeah, our first sale, we still laugh about to this day. I think.
We were so excited. Honestly, we were so excited. It was amazing. And it was incredible. I don't think we'll ever forget it.
Yeah, I think that moment that we got the first sale, that wasn't a family member or someone who's trying to support us, the first, I suppose, stranger, if you like, or customer to kind of come on board. We were so excited.
Yeah, there's actually a video on social media about it and it is genuine. We are jumping up and down.
Yeah, people
delighted.
think it was staged, but it genuinely wasn't. That was sheer
so
excitement.
Real. And it's so nice to be able to share that on social media as well and with other people, but it is all real.
I think we've just been working so hard in those 4 months before we launched the business. We were just, tirelessly working all the time. So just to kind of have that moment of someone who purchased it just made it all worthwhile. It was amazing.
And on the corporate side of things, I think a lot of early stage founders would love to hear how that journey was. How did you unlock the first corporate partner? What were your key insights there? Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the corporate side, we always envisioned kind of ultimately wanting to go into corporates. That was always our goal. I suppose we just didn't expect it to happen so soon in our journey after launching. And what actually happened was we were in the paper. So there was an article written about us that then happened kind of one of the corporates, one of our very first clients, Vodafone, had seen us in the paper and they were looking at bringing in an initiative to supply period products to their staff. And then they reached out because, if it was possible, why not work with an Irish supplier? So that really, I suppose, kind of was the first kind of key, I suppose, to kind of cracking that corporate market for us. Which was just incredible. And, there's always an element of luck and timing when it comes to business.
Like we spoke about it, market timing is everything.
Exactly. So kind of, I think landing that first contract and with such a well-known brand name as well really gave us, I suppose, that recognition kind of, to supply that corporate world. And from there, then it's just grown.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to be agile with your business plan. You think you know where you're going to be, and you always hear stories about businesses that thought they were going to go into one thing and have done something completely different. And I think it's really important to be open to those opportunities. As Lauren said, we didn't know we were going to go down that route so early, but it just made so much sense for us. So I think that's what's really important. And it comes back into like feedback and listening to your customer and seeing those opportunities and just going for them.
Yeah. When there's an opportunity there, but you just kind of have to jump on them while it's hot. And we've changed strategy God knows how many times, just so you just kind of got to keep moving with what's kind of in front of you.
Definitely. And especially with the market at the moment, and things are changing so much with what's going on in the world. Like we're continuously like looking at what we're doing and reevaluating and making sure that it's the most successful avenue for us as well. So I think that's really important, looking to the future as well, to mitigate as much risk as possible. Obviously, it's hard to do.
I think pivoting is one of the key factors when it comes down to it. And, sort of being able to quickly pivot is quite important as well. And I think that kind of brings me to the point where sometimes everyone has their own hack. Sometimes it's the product market fit, or it's the product itself. Sometimes it's the innovative solution, or sometimes it's just about reusing what's there in the market and just rebranding and putting it out because people still want it. How has your fundraising journey been so far? And, we'd probably be hearing a lot more ahead as well. How has your fundraising journey been so far? And you were previously also a part of the NDRC Pre-Accelerator. How did that contribute to your growth? And do you think all these programs helped you in your journey?
Definitely. We actually launched Market during the NDRC Pre-Accelerator, and just to have the support, and you can be going about your day to day, but it's to have someone ask you those questions that you don't think of, which I think is really important, and surrounding yourself with a community as well, like we did with the Pre-Accelerator as well. Like it was during the pandemic, so we had it every Monday evening, and it was brilliant. And just to launch during that time, and then to show how we were growing each week, and to have challenging questions and questions that you wouldn't think of. And it just really made us think and helped us to grow as well. So that was amazing. And communities are incredible, like the Republic of Work that we're in, just to be able to, no one's shy to make an introduction or to help. And I think, we're lucky that we're 3 founders together, but also the community is just as important, for people to help in different areas. We don't pretend to know everything, but it's like reaching out to the right people to get the guidance, which is incredible as well. And that's exactly what the Pre-Accelerator gave to us. And still, we still ask them questions. We're still here.
I know.
Yes,
and on the fundraising side too, I suppose, kind of learning how to pitch and how to go about things, and kind of that whole kind of, I suppose, knowledge that we got from the accelerator, like dramatically helped, because I suppose we launched in April, and by November we were going out to market to pitch, I suppose, not hypothetically, in a real scenario for funding. And just, I suppose, the learnings we took from that were incredibly valuable. And with our own fundraising, I suppose, journey, then we decided to go down the crowdfunding route. So kind of, I suppose, with our brand and where we were in the market, that just seemed like the most obvious, I suppose, approach for us at the time. It was a huge success for us. And I think one of the most amazing things from it was our customers became our first investors, which is just such a nice kind of proof point, I suppose, on kind of what we're up to.
Yeah, it just makes them brand advocates, and it's incredible. They're the people that we can ask questions to, is this working for you, or what do you think? And we have so much coming down the pipeline as well on our future plans as well. So it's amazing to have that much support from that community, and that'll help us shape our journey on where we're going to go in the future as well.
That's really nice, being in a position where, this is what's going to work for me in terms of fundraising, that maybe I just don't need to reach out to investors yet. And I think those are the key things you take away while you're on the journey, that, you keep learning as it comes, like, maybe we're not ready for this. Maybe we need to go down the route. And I feel that the programs also kind of give you that pathway that, with the mentors, if you're lucky to have good mentors, they guide you in that way. Maybe investors or like HNIs are not the right fit right now. Why don't you go down this way?
Yeah, and it's never just one route either. There's so many different avenues to go down, and you can go down several at the same time, or, you know, in the journey as well. So I think, again, you have to keep an open mind when it comes to fundraising. You may think you're going to go down a certain route, and then it could be completely different, but it's just good to kind of know that there's so many avenues.
So before we conclude, are there any updates or stories you'd like to share with us, Anya, Lauren? Who'd like to go first?
Yeah, I think that's something that's so important is our mission. And we really are here to open up the conversation and to break the taboo around periods. And, you know, education is something that's really important to us. And it's something that we have been doing since the very beginning. I think we should probably share the Ray Darcy show story.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like Anya mentioned, we're all for talking about female health and shouting about it from the rooftops. We really think it's an underserved market and we need to open up the conversation. So much so that we went on the Ray Darcy show recently, and we went on and we were talking all things Riley and all things periods. And the following day he had to come back on air to read out all of the complaints because he had received that many from people all around the country, both men and women, which we were just shocked, saying that we shouldn't be talking about periods on national radio. And I think that just really proves our case point that there is still a stigma and people still aren't willing to talk about it, you know, even though it's the most natural biological thing in the world. So yeah, I think we're just going to keep hammering away at that stigma and breaking it down.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we're here to do.
And what about the product updates? Do we have any new subscriptions coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. We have so much coming down the track in terms of new product development. So we obviously, our customers are number one for us, and we want to create products that are going to make their lives easier and to create products that are better for their bodies as well, along with better for the planet. So we have loads of new product updates coming down the line. So please.
Space,
yeah, exactly. I don't want to give too much away.
We're looking forward to it. As a society, we still need to overcome a lot of barriers around menstruation, menstrual hygiene. But as consumers, it's really important that we move towards natural and biodegradable products and cut down on single-use plastics. A, for a rash-free and itch-free experience, and B, giving back to the planet. It's really important that we start cutting down on carbon emissions released from each individual. But on that note, I'd really like to thank both of you for joining us today and sharing your entrepreneurial journey with us.
Thank you.
Thanks
It's
so
our
much.
pleasure.
We'd like to wish you every success from the team at Republic of Work and NDRC for driving your business ahead.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.